on March 20th, 2006 is a night that changed baseball forever. In a classic night game for baseball, Japan and Cuba battled for the very first World Baseball Classic, showing who was really the best country at baseball. Led by future household names Ichiro Suzuki and Daisuke Matsuzaka, Japan put on a masterclass in skill and strategy, despite Cuba's team of warriors built on tradition and resilience. The teams fought as hard as they could, as this moment could define their country and make history forever. So how did Japan claim the victory and change how the world saw baseball forever in one night? This is Daily Sports History and the story of how Japan became the first world baseball champion.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide, as you daily learn more about sports history, increasing your sports knowledge. So before 2006, the biggest international competition for baseball was the Olympics, which it wasn't until 2000 when they started to allow professionals to actually play in this game, as the Summer Olympics usually took place during the MLB season. Many team owners and players didn't actually want to play in the Olympics due to this issue. But the goal was to create a World Cup style similar to the Soccer World Cup tournament that featured the best of the world, from major league superstars to other international professional athletes, as well as top amateurs competing for their country to see who was really the best in the world. Now, baseball was not featured in the very first Olympics, but it did make its first appearance in the second one in 1900 at the Paris Games. Now, as we know previously, especially when we talked about the Dream Team episode, having professionals play in the Olympics was something that was frowned upon until about the 1990s. It was all about amateurism, and being an amateur meant a lot. And in 2005, the IOC voted baseball and softball out of the 2012 London Olympics, making it the first sport to be voted out since polo was eliminated in 1936. Now, at the time, they said this was due to competition and issues with anti-doping. But in 2009, they actually voted to bring back baseball for the 2016 Summer Games. So it only had one Olympic hiatus. But that's 8 years total, meaning lots of players were past their prime for that time. So you took a generation out of their chance to win a gold medal, which really sucks. But what happened was Major League Baseball really wanted to feature something, and they actually put their backing to start the World Baseball Classic. This is really how it got started. Because it was taken away from the Olympics, baseball and its fans wanted to see this happen, and at a time that made more sense. Major League Baseball's played during the summer. Most baseballs played during the summer across the world, whether it's professional or amateurs. So if you have a Summer Olympics, it makes it very hard for these players to play in this game because they have teams they're already playing for. So playing at a better time made it easier for teams to make it. And they actually started with 16 teams for the first year, divided into 4 pools, playing a round-robin type tournament, and then would follow with a single elimination semifinal and a final. Very similar to what the World Cup does in soccer. And they would play all over the world. Pool A would play in Tokyo, Japan, featuring China, Chinese Taipei, Japan, and South Korea. Pool B would play in Phoenix, Arizona at Chase Field, featuring Canada, Mexico, South Africa, and the United States. Pool C would play in San Juan, Puerto Rico, featuring Cuba, the Netherlands, Panama, and Puerto Rico. And Pool D would play in Lake Buena Vista in the United States, featuring Australia, the Dominican Republic, Italy, and Venezuela. And there was some big names back then featured in this. The U.S. team had stars like Derek Jeter, Ken Griffey Jr., and Roger Clemens on it. The Dominican Republic had David Ortiz, Albert Pujols, and Andre Bell. The Japan team had Ichiro Suzuki and Daisuke Matsuzaka. And the Japan team was led by Sadaharu Oh, who we covered on a previous episode, who is the all-time home run leaders in the world as their manager. Now in Group A, Japan and South Korea advanced, while in Group B, Mexico and the United States advanced. Group C, Puerto Rico and Cuba advanced, and Group D, the Dominican Republic and Venezuela advanced. Now this is a second round pool in place. Now it was separated to Pool 1 and Pool 2. Both these pools would be playing in America, one in Anaheim and one in San Diego. Where in Pool 1 featured Japan, South Korea, the United States, and Mexico, where South Korea and Japan advanced to the championship round, leaving the United States, the host city, and heavily favored, out with a losing record in this pool. Then in Pool 2 featured the Dominican Republic, Cuba, Venezuela, and Puerto Rico, where Dominican Republic and Cuba advanced to the championship round, which would be a 4-team, 1-game elimination. Cuba would take on the Dominican Republic, beating them 3-1, where Japan would take on South Korea, beating them 6-0, setting a final championship between Cuba and Japan. Now, Japan, as we talked about in the Home Run King episode, has a history of baseball that dates back for many years and has probably the second best professional league in all of baseball. But they had never won a top international tournament, and this game was a chance for them to showcase their samurai-like baseball. And Cuba had a determination, as their team was completely amateur players that had been playing together for a long time and showed that they were a force to be reckoned with in international baseball as well. Now, the stakes were high. This would be the first ever World Baseball Classic champion. And the hope was this would continue throughout the years so that baseball could continue to be at a world stage. Now, in the first inning, Japan wasted no time setting the tone. They jumped out to a 4-0 lead at the top of the first inning, with Ichiro Suzuki leading off the game, setting the tone for the whole team, as he did throughout his career in Major League Baseball. Now, despite the tough start, Cuba refused to panic, and they came back scoring 1 run of their own to try to break into the lead. The next 3 innings, both teams would settle in, and they would go score this, until the 5th inning, when Japan would get aggressive using bunting and hit and runs to score 2 more runs to extend their lead 6-1. But Cuba would not give up. They would hold Japan scoreless for the next 3 innings, while in the 5th and the 6th, Cuba would score 2 more runs, and in the 8th, they would score 2 more, bringing it into a 1-run game heading into the final inning of the game, giving them the championship that everyone wanted. The end of the game, 1 run to see who would be the world championship. There were millions of people watching, not only in America, but across the world, looking to see who would be the champion. But Japan would not take their foot off the gas, and they went on another run led by Ichiro Suzuki, where they scored 4 more runs, increasing their lead 10-5. Now, Cuba would fight back, scoring 1 more run in the bottom of the 9th, despite Japan's closer coming in. But it was too little, too late, and Japan would end up winning the very first World Baseball Classic, with over 10 million people watching in Japan, celebrating, showing their dominance and how good baseball was in Japan, as players that come to the Major League Baseball from Japan are some of the best players in the league to this day. Daisuke Matsuzaka would be named tournament MVP, with Ichiro Suzuki and Toma Suzuki from Japan also being named all-tournament team, which featured 2 Americans, despite not making it past the second round, in Derek Jeter and Ken Griffey Jr. Now, the impact showed that people wanted this. It still showed you how good some of these players were. Lots of these players from the smaller countries would go on to sign Major League contracts, giving them the chance and an opportunity to make more money than they could have ever made anywhere else. This also showed how baseball had grown across the world. As in America, we often think we're always the best. We play the World Series here. We have to be the best. But that's not true. We didn't even make it to the semifinal round. And during this 17-day event, there was over 100,000 spectators to watch all the games. The television ratings were stronger than expected, drawing over 1 million for just pool games and getting more worldwide viewed overall. And the revenue made from the World Baseball Classic was distributed to other countries. Japan got the most, then Cuba, and then they separated it, and then they would separate it then by who was left, giving each team a chance to continue to grow. And unlike the other World Cup, they actually play this every 3 years. So in 2006, they played it. and they played it every 3 years. Although they did cancel the 2020 World Baseball Classic due to COVID. And if you haven't watched one of these games, it's always fun to watch these teams, as it's great to see a sport that is focused on going international. We play games in other countries all the time. It's great to see that the game is truly growing international. The game is not just an American game. We always call it America's pastime. It's not just America. It's a world that plays this game. It's the world that gives us most of our stars. Our biggest star right now in baseball is Shohei Ohtani from Japan. And most of our biggest stars from 2000 on have been from another country. So it shows that competition is growing across the world, and it's giving us better baseball. And I hope that baseball continues this tradition. And I want to thank you for listening to today's Daily Sports History. If you want more NBA content, check out the Dime Droppers podcast, where they dive into all things NBA. And we'll put a link in the description for you to check them out. And if you enjoyed today's episode of Daily Sports History, please make sure you are subscribed wherever you're listening. That way you do not miss a single episode. Come back tomorrow for more Daily Sports History.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No